Hi, my name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS, and I hope you're doing okay. Today, I'm checking out Comeback Kid by Audio Baby, so let's Oj! Finally, Baby Audio have ported over their wonderful delay from desktop to iOS. Comeback Kid is a vintage-inspired delay effect with warm and vibey repeats to enrich sterile mixes. With 14 flexible controls to sculpt the sound of the delay signal, Comeback Kid is easy to work with and full of sonic color. And I just love how this thing sounds. It is available on the iOS App Store for $19.99 and is an AUv3 direct port of the original desktop version. It also works on all iOS devices. It's packed full of presets and awesome delay sculpting capabilities. You can also pick up the desktop version for $69 if you so desire. Now let's check out a demo of it in action. Okay, so here we are in AUM, and today I'm using the wonderful piano tech and the guitar sounds in here to do the initial demo. So let's take a look at Comeback Kid and have a look at some of the controls from top to bottom. So we have our light and dark button up in the top corner. I always prefer the dark. We've got our presets in the middle. So I have an init patch. I made this for myself. When you open it up, you get a default patch, but there's no way to really go back to that from what I've found. So I just saved that as an init patch. Here are all your factory presets. Very easy to save your sound that you create just by hitting this and giving it a name and saving it. All right, let's play some notes. So straight away you can tell it does what it's meant to do, and that is a delay. Let's start in the middle here with what we've got, our time, obviously. You can sync this to your DAW. It is currently sunk at the moment, and I can change this all the way down from 64 all the way up to 1:1. How do we change it and to a dotted? Well, in here, you've got straight, which we're on right now. We can change to dotted. We also have a triplet underneath. Lovely. And we also have our freestanding here. Now it goes all the way down to off, or from 0.10 milliseconds all the way up to 2,500 milliseconds. And we tap again. So each time you tap here, it flicks through them in order. So you're not flicking, so you can't just like, hit the free down here, which I thought you could. But it actually goes through each time you tap anywhere on these 4 things. We'll leave it on an 8th. Actually, we'll move it to a 4th. Of course, we have a feedback. Now, I currently have, of course, I have a limiter on here because, you know, it can get pretty wild. Probably even self-oscillate. You can hear that starting to self-oscillate. So yeah, you might want to do that in case things get out of control, because sometimes we lose control. It is what it is. Also, you'll see in the middle we've got a ping pong. So it's currently off. When you hover your mouse over any of these, you'll see it lights up. So currently we've got feedback 43. If I hover over this, because I was a bit confused when I saw these buttons, I was like, which one's off, which one's on? But when you hover over, you can see that it's off. Turn it on, and of course, we've got a ping pong. Wonderful stuff. We'll leave that on for now. Let's talk about over here in the first corner, the shaper. So this comes with a low cut. Now, of course, this low cut, high cut, attack and sustain affects the delay. It doesn't affect the main signal. So let's just play a note. We'll give some feedback over here. Double tap on any of the knobs to bring them back to where they were. High cut. Obviously, we've got a much darker delay happening there. Double tap to get out of it. We also have an attack and sustain. So the attack and sustain will really focus on the transient shapes. I'm going to take out the dry mix and just leave the wet in. And we'll turn up this attack. So you can see it's got a delay. Let's bring in the dry a little bit. So you can see it really puts a focus on the transient and really just adds a lot of punch to that transient the higher up it is. Take it back down. And the sustain is going to give it some sustain. But it's going to work on that transient. So you can hear it kind of almost distorts out too. So remember, this isn't feedback. So it's nice to have something different in here, like an attack and sustain. Double tap to bring it back to normal. Bring the feedback back to 50%. Let's talk about the stereo. We've got a wider here over in the bottom corner. So I'm going to turn it up full. Now, of course, wearing headphones, you're going to get the best understanding of how this works. So it changes the timing between the left and right signals to create a wider sound delay. That's why what you heard when I was turning it up kind of has this little chorusing effect as you're turning it up. But then we get to our richer one here. We'll bring this back down. Our richness here, so the richness says it changes the pitch between left and right, and this is where you're going to get a very kind of chorus effect. turn that all the way up. So nice, kind of chorusy effect going on. We've got pan, obviously. That's going to put it over to the left. Take out the ping pong. And we have a mono switch here. So this turns the signal, the delay, remember not the main signal, the delay signal into a mono sound. So you can hear it up the middle. And now we're back to that spread across the typical what you'd hear with a stereo sound. Let's talk about cheap. It always makes me laugh when I see this. So we've got up in the top corner, we've got our flavor. So we had our shaper, stereo, and flavor. And I love this button, cheap. It's a custom 11-bit signal path inspired by vintage digital delays. Now you're going to get, when we put this on, this rattly, distorted kind of crunch. Yeah, nice little crunch there. And next we have tape. I love the crunch in there. We'll turn that off, turn off the cheap so you can hear what's going on with the tape. So it's an analog modeled saturation algorithm to give a classic tape sound. With the cheap, so you got that real crunchy sound going on. Sounds really nice. Really, really nice. It's nice to have some flavor in there with a delay as well, just instead of a delay. So we've got this swirl, and this gives a real phase kind of thing going on. So I'll turn up the feedback so you can hear that phase. So that doesn't have a control. That algo is just locked in and it does its phase. And, you know, I think it does a really nice job of doing that. Bring the swirl down. And lastly, we've got source. So this adds an algorithmic reverb to diffuse the wet signal. So it's got a real rattly kind of reverb going on there. Nice stuff. Last we have in the bottom output section, so we have a ducker in here. Now this is really, really cool. I love this. First we've got the Destiny button, and Destiny subtle randomization. This is what it does to give more of a human feel. Now this is very subtle. Let's turn it on. And I'm not sure what's going on under the hood, but I'm just assuming it's randomizing a whole bunch of this stuff, just slightly putting it in and out. So whatever you've got kind of turned up going on here, let's put in some of this richness here, put in a bit of swirl, a bit of tape. But here's where it gets fun, because we've got a ducker here. Now the ducker let's turn it up full blast just to show you what it does. We'll give it lots of feedback here. So the ducker, whenever the main signal is playing, you're going to have the reverb, the delay duck underneath it. And as soon as you stop playing, it's going to come to life. Let's do that with a couple of chords. So as soon as we let go, it comes up. Now that's very extreme what we're doing there. I'd say somewhere around like a 30. Because the problem is you're going to get, especially with a long feedback on there or even a long sustain up here, is that you get it gets confusing after a while. Yeah, so you've got layers upon layers upon layers, and the duck is going to allow that main signal to get through. Nice stuff. I like the ducker. Very, very cool. You've got a dry out. You can take out the dry. Now we're just playing the direct wet. Or we can take out the wet and have the direct dry, or a nice mix of whatever you like. So that's it in a nutshell. Pretty easy to use. Let's run through some presets. There is a heap of them. If I scroll down, one thing I think we talk about a lot with baby audio apps is these are direct ports. So what you get, what the size is, what you get is what you get. Obviously, it's going to cost money to pay a team to try and redesign this from the ground up, and this is the cost that comes with having desktop apps ported over to iOS. So I know on an iPhone this is going to look pretty damn small. Some of these switches are going to be a bit small, but it is what it is. What are you going to do, you know? Let's try some of these presets. This one's called May I Pick Up the Telephone. I love the subtle crunch and stuff that's under there. It's really nice. This one's for a vocal. So you can see what it's set to. An 1/8 minimum feedback on that one. Let's pick another random one. A saucy pluck. Transient dub. What about a Destiny chorus? So you don't have to use it as a delay. I mean, there's plenty of shaping sounds in there to create some real tension and just grit underneath. So the delay doesn't even have to be prominent in there as well. So let's move over. I've got Spelldozer here as well. So we'll just solo this, and I'm running Euclidean to create some sounds. We'll run through some more presets. Give it a dotted sound to make it more interesting. Let's add some drums in there. Because there's some nice drums in here as well. We got a snare slap. Drum bus flange. Give it some lo-fi grit. That makes it a bit filthy. Harsh reflection. Clap repeater. Sounds absolutely beautiful. All right, let's auge. Are you enjoying the content here on the channel? Well, please let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, please do me a solid and smash that like, hit that subscribe, and ring the bell to keep up with all of the latest app demos and live streams. You can also support the channel by becoming a channel member or even a Patreon via the links below and have a chance to win some of the cool apps I show you here on the channel. Well, Come Back Kid by Baby Audio costs $19.99 for iOS. It's also available on the desktop for $69 and it's pretty damn cool. So let's get out of here for today. Please remember to do the things that make you happy. Mistakes make you better and we'll all rise together. Stay awake and let's auge.